obviously not from.
Oh well, that's not these parts. Gentlemen, how are we? Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. To see you nice. Oh, hi there. Hi guys. How you doing? Kevil Hull. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. One independence. Hi there. Hi there. Do you want to say anything about it? Do you want to just get a wee chat about Balochistan? I actually understand this. I study a lot about the Middle East, and I used to live in the Middle East. I used to live in Dubai, so I know a lot about it. So can you just tell us that, so Balochistan is in between Iran and Pakistan, which would have been India at one point, it would have been India, it would be Iran, and Afghanistan, and so it's right in the middle, it's quite a large territory as well. It's not got a large population, it's very small. Is that the whole Muslim country?
Yeah, it's in Iran and they
Covered up with labor stuff.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think we did an interview right here.
Let me just swing this in.
I'm doing live streams about what we discussed last week.
That's fine. Go on, Dan.
Go on up here and we'll just turn this.
Can I sit there?
Alright, you want to sit down? Okay.
Fuck's sake, Gordon.
Let me just see if we can bring that down.
No, we'll put on more makeup today.
That's fine, you look fine. Let me just try and get this levelled up a bit, that's better. Okay, there we go. So let me just, I don't want to stand too close, start to get a bit weird looking. Right, there we go. So, Sadiq Khan's want to bring in rent controls, isn't he? And the Greens want to bring in rent controls. And what's the SNP's opinion on rent controls?
Yeah, so the SNP is actually part of the manifesto, and they committed that before 2026, whilst Nicola Sturgeon was still the leader of the party, that they would bring in rent controls before they enter Parliament. Rent controls are really important because the way that housing operates now is it's a commodity. Most people don't have a warm, safe, secure home, and rent controls are a really important policy to make sure that everyone can live in a safe, affordable home. There's a lot of myths about rent controls, but
there's a lot of people say that rent controls don't actually work because it then gets the state intervention in the open market, and the failure potentially to build more affordable homes is the situation just now with planning permission and things like that.
Definitely. So it's not one or the other. We should have rent controls and we should be building more council homes. But we know rent controls work. We actually used to have them up until 1988 until Thatcher got rid of them. And back then when we had rent controls, private tenants were only paying 10% of their income towards rent. Today it's nearly up to 40%.
Is that how it works? Is it based
that
on...
was average. No. There's different forms of rent controls, and we also know rent controls because they're really quite common across Europe. So there's lots of different forms of them. But what we
Can you give us a few?
Yeah, so oftentimes rent controls, it can either be the cap on how much is charged. If we look to somewhere like the Netherlands, they have a points-based system where the rent is determined by things like the quality, the energy efficiency of the home. So in Scotland, where the quality of the property is really quite poor, having a points-based system is really important to drive up the quality of our homes.
And is that what you're advocating for?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And but how's that? Say for instance, I've got a mortgage out or a buy-to-let
Yeah.
mortgage out. It's really the banks that are going to control what I'm wanting to charge predominantly. I mean, obviously I could charge ridiculous amounts of money for my rent for my tenant, but I'm not going to get the tenants in on that basis. And I have to, as a landlord, I'm not a landlord, but I as a landlord, I've been a landlord before, had to charge the tenant appropriately to the lending of the actual, the lending of the bank.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that might be true, but ultimately tenants are paying for a home and they shouldn't be footing the bill of what a landlord is seen as an investment. You know, in any other terms of investment, stocks go up and down. Landlords should also be aware that when they invest, they're not always going to make instant profit like that. So they shouldn't be putting that risk onto the tenants. They were the ones that chose to take out an asset. It's not the tenant's fault for the right to
I understand what you're saying, and you're trying to protect the tenant, but the reality is that if the landlord then gets shakier tenancy, then the tenant might get kicked out if he gets foreclosed on that, and that'd be worse for the tenant.
Yeah, so if the landlord can't afford it, that's why we need more council homes, because there is a situation. That's where I think the government should be able to buy the property, make it a council property, because if a landlord can't afford to be a landlord, they should be a landlord.
I believe in the right again, the right to buy again. And I know that, because I think that gives the tenant more security than even with the housing association. I've been with a house, well, I think it was with the council, and I didn't get security. They stole all my stuff, kicked me out of the flat where they should have reheld the house because of the flood. And they told them I'd give them a phone number. They didn't phone me. They wrote a letter, and I couldn't stay there because it had been flooded. And then they kicked me out after 4 years of being there. So I wasn't even secure within the council as a tenant.
I'm really sorry to hear that. That sounds like a really awful situation. But the right to buy policy was one of the most abject. It was massive policy failure.
Why was that?
Because it oversaw council housing stuff, and there wasn't enough building to replace that.
But surely there was the rebuilding. So if let me put this to you. So if I purchased the house, then I would be giving money to the council, would I not? And then they would have the right or the ability to use that money to build new council houses, no?
Well, no, because they weren't building enough to replace the.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So if I bought it, I then give the money to the council. Then the council has got a pot of money to rebuild.
Just let me get this correct. You're in favour of building more council housing, but you're also in favour of right to buy. Those two things, they're not quite compatible.
Why are they not?
Because we should be keeping council properties within the council
But
locality.
I've just said, I try to explain.
I think you raised some really interesting points, but I think it's also quite clear that we disagree.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thanks. Do you want to speak to us, sir?
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah.
What was it? This? I was an SNP member for 15 years, not anymore. 20 out. Are you not a Sweeney fan, sir?
No. I mean, safe pair of hands. We don't need a safe pair of hands.
We need somebody.
Some action.
And are you feeling that that's not happening just now?
Yeah. No way. It's not happened for a long time. You need independence, and I would vote SNP for independence. But that is
Will you not vote for Alex?
No.
I would have said, and I'm not an SNP member, I would have said that Alex was a better.
Sort of. I'm a bit in two minds over that, actually.
Do you not agree? I think Alex was better than anything else has been as a First Minister.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, he was.
I agree.
He was a bit of a wild card.
I know. Well, I thought he was better. Do you not think he was better?
Yeah, we need somebody who's radical, and he was radical.
But do you not think we need to go to the centre with all this censorship and lack of freedom of speech? I don't really want to live in a Scotland that's like North Korea, to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sort of nanny state thing going on. But
I would have said after he left. I didn't see the nanny state while he was there. I would have said the nanny.
Oh no,
state.
not while he was there. No. No, that's the current SNP really. But I can tolerate some of that. It's happening all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kamala Harris' family were Marxists. Keir Starmer, Peter Hitchens, Christopher Hitchens' brother said that he was a radical communist as well. It seems like we've got a bunch of radical communists.
Oh yeah, but we've also got I don't know.
And a bunch of globalists as well, who are actually shilling for the globalist technocrats.
Well, yeah, maybe. But there's an awful lot of heavy-duty Christians in there as well.
Is there?
Yeah,
Is there?
SNP. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Is
There
there?
all of these agendas that are just
Are all clashing slightly?
yeah, and they're not being avert about it. It's like, it's not good. But anyway, it's a good party, and
No, but what my
I
question was, so why would you not move to Alex Salmond's party? What was
yeah, sort of. I mean, as I say, I'm in two minds really.
no, but why are you in two minds? What is it you're thinking about? That
Well, I met him personally a few times, and spent a bit of time with him. He never really impressed me. As a
did you know
person.
that?
No.
I thought he was a great politician.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he was refreshing.
I think he was better than the last three, which I agree with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I would have said that Alex Salmond was probably the best First Minister.
Yeah.
But they've all been shades, apart from probably Nicola Sturgeon and Humza, they've all been shades of Social Democrats.
Yeah.
They're all, everything since Dewar, Henry McLeish, they've all been shades of Social Democrats.
Yeah. Well,
And maybe because we haven't actually changed any sort of direction or policy, that we don't have that, we don't have that opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, as I say, I'll vote SNP for independence. But anyway, that's if you want. If one wants rid of the SNP, then you get independence. There's one sure guaranteed.
But
way.
let me. Do you know about Scottish history?
A little bit, yeah.
Right. So the indigenous population in here is the Britons. It was British Strathclyde. It's likely that the Picts were Brythonic as well.
Yeah.
What is with the Palestinian flags? I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll tell you about the Palestinian flag. But it's the Britons. So the Scots were an invading Irish tribe. Why is Scotland named after? Why were we not named after the Vikings, who were also the Germans? It would be, and the original language here is Brythonic. It's not Irish or English. We're speaking German just now. And Gaelic is Irish, is a dialect of Irish. The indigenous language to here is the Britons, and the Brythonic that's indigenous to here.
Yeah, we're all a mishmash, really, and it has been since the
Yeah, no,
beginning
but
of
well,
time.
we're not really. It's more of an invading site. We are a mishmash. I do agree.
We did. We wandered far wider than
But you've not really answered my question, though.
No, probably not, because I know you know a lot about this.
What's your name, sir?
It's Robert. Yeah,
Robert, I'm David. It's a pleasure. Nice to meet you, buddy. Hi there. You guys follow me? Okay, police escort. Thanks very much, Jen's doing a great job. Hi there. Hi guys. My people here have been asking what's with all the Palestinian flags outside the SNP. Sorry, say that again.
Who are your people?
Yeah. So you're supporting.
Who are the people you are? Who is this?
Well, these are people in Scotland. These are Scottish people.
Because you didn't introduce yourself.
Sorry, my name's David. I'm polite there. My name's David. I work for. I've got my own thing called the Guerilla TV channel, which is a British political channel. So we cover things in the UK. But we speak to people who are not from the UK, like yourself. Where are you from? Spanish?
Basque.
Basque, okay, that's good. So Gallipoli is the place where all the Celts are as well. Like,
Yes, true.
And you know the story of Robert the Bruce?
I can't remember now, but I've been told
So do you know
about
the
it.
story of Braveheart, the actual story of Braveheart?
Aye.
Do you know the story? What's the story of Braveheart?
No, I've seen the film.
So the real story of Braveheart was that Robert the Bruce's heart, after they beat the Germans, English, went down in pilgrimage, and it was meant to go to the Holy Lands on crusade, to fight against the Muslims because they were invading that part because the Muslims came from Saudi Arabia. Or Arabia was at that point, the Saudis are the rulers of Arabia.
Sorry, as I'm
So let me know, but
sorry.
it's relative to Spain, right? So Robert the
I'm
Bruce.
Basque.
well, okay, I know, I understand, but Spain generally, I'm not talking about. But do you know where Teba is?
Teba.
In Spain. So Robert the Bruce didn't go on crusade to the Holy Land. It went down to Teba, and they fought against the invading Islamists because they were raping and murdering people down in Spain. And
You know what, like any occupation does, yeah?
So no, that's what I'm saying. So the real story of Robert the Bruce was his heart to go and fight against Islam because the Muslims were raping the people in Spain. They were actually asking for sexual slaves. And
like the Christian people did on their crusades.
well, no, the Christian, that was a reconquest.
If we are going to have this debate, I
No,
don't
no.
want to be speaking about this.
Why that? Why not?
Because you're talking to me about the rapes done by Islam, but you're not talking about the rapes done by Christianism.
Where was
We
that?
talk about...
No, but where was that?
What?
Where
The
was-
crusades? What are they doing?
I was talking about Spain. I was talking about Spain. I'm talking about what happened from Spain because you're in Scotland, obviously now, and that's relevant to
But
from
but
Scotland.
talking about Spain, when I'm Basque, it's not very comfortable for
Oh,
me.
right, okay, I understand. It's a bit like talking to somebody who's thinks they're Scottish and they're talking about Britain as a whole.
Aye, but it just came across a little bit too Spanish.
but the other thing is that the indigenous population in what is now called Scotland is the Britons. The original language is Brythonic. They're Celts, the Celtic Britons of what is now called Scotland. The Scots were an invading Irish tribe. Do you know that?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yes, which is probably different from the Basques, who were probably the originals there.
Aye,
so the
that's why we have the oldest language in Europe.
The originals would be the Britons of the Britons who were like the Picts and the Britons who fought against the Romans and fought against the Vikings, things like that. And obviously the Brythonic is because you're Britain. You know what I mean?
Okay, interesting.
I didn't know that.
Then it's fascinating.
Thanks very much. Thanks, bye.
Free Palestine.
Barbarity of this apocalypse, but at the same time, everything has been said by some of the most wonderful investigators, human rights organisers, grassroots workers and reports. There's no excuse for what's not going on. So it's almost a contradiction there. So instead of starting with words, I just want to start just with two names. Two names. The first name I want to mention to you is Abdel Rahman Abu El Jadeen. The second name is Mary Manning. Abdul Rahman is the little child, the first child to be diagnosed with polio in 25 years in Gaza. Shame. But in a strange way, this is the cherry on this nightmare cake, isn't it? Little Abdul really is an expression of the last 10 months of mass murder, of bombing, of lying in sewage, of tents being bombed. And there we have this little boy now diagnosed with polio. I heard his mum speak in the BBC World Service last night. It was truly heartbreaking. She just said, "Will somebody please come and help little Abdul? He was on the point of walking. Please help me." And there he is, sitting in an old car seat, partially crippled. My question is, why can't we get little Abdel here to Edinburgh? I'm looking at a wonderful doctor right in front of me just now. You could do that. If we can get Mike Lynch's body back from a super yacht, why can't we get little Abdel from his car seat here to Edinburgh tomorrow? John Swinney, pull your finger out. Ian Murray, Secretary of State for Scotland, get little Abdel into Edinburgh so we can treat him and watch him walk. The second name I want to mention is Mary Manning, all right? 19th of July, 1984, Mary was working as a cashier in Dunn Store in Hen Street in Dublin. Somebody came up to her with a grapefruit. It all started with a grapefruit. And she refused to serve that person because that grapefruit came from South Africa. Her union had said, we will not collaborate and we will not sell anything that comes from South Africa. How the South African embassy must have laughed when Mary was fired from her work for not processing a grapefruit. What difference could that make? 10 of our workers supported her. 10 of our workers were fired and they went on strike. That strike lasted 3 years. In 1987, the Irish government passed a law imposing a ban on every single product from South Africa. From one grapefruit came a ban, a national ban. So SNP, it can be done. It's very, very simple. Tomorrow, you could say we formally adopt the BDS movement in every single detail. Support it, do it. I hope you don't mind. You're supporting genocide. Friends, can I also mention 2 other names to you? I think it's really important to remember names. One is called Mr. Sun Tzu. As far as I know, he never came to Edinburgh. And another man called Frederick Douglass, a wonderful abolitionist. He did come to Edinburgh. He came to Edinburgh in 1848 to spread the word about abolition. He was born into slavery, a brilliant campaigner, a brilliant speaker, and in 1848, he was doing what we are doing today, talking about abolition. It took him another 17 years before slavery was banned, but he kept at it. Mr. Sun Tzu, on the other hand, was a Chinese general and a philosopher. He lived 2,500 years ago. But both of these men had great insight into how human beings work. Mr. Sun Tzu wrote a wonderful book called The Art of War. And right at the heart of that was the notion that you must know thy enemy. Know thy enemy. He said, if you know yourself and know thy enemy, you will win your battles. If you do not know yourself and you do not know the enemy, you will be endlessly defeated. A very important insight. Frederick Douglass, another great man, this abolitionist, he said something very, very important as well. He said, the struggle may be a physical one or it may be a moral one. But he said something very, very important. Power concedes nothing without demand. Power concedes nothing without demand. In other words, it has to impinge. How many of us marched against the war in Iraq? We demonstrated and we demonstrated. But we did not impinge, we did not stop the war. So the great challenge to us activists is, how do we impinge? Now, linking those 2 people together, I think it's really important to name things. The United States is the enabler of mass murder and genocide. Israel would not be able to carry out their mass murder if it wasn't the United States. I looked up this morning to see how much an F-16 Falcon fighter, they love these match names for it. Do you know how much they cost? Up to 40 million a piece. I asked how many of the Israeli army got? Approximately 300, they don't know the exact details. So 300 F-16s are going around smashing Gaza to pieces. Much more efficient than a baseball bat, isn't it, when it comes to kill babies? So they are the enemy. But we've got to name it. I've always thought it was a great shame that in all these marches over the last 10 months, you haven't put the United States at the forefront. Every single march, I think there should be a sign. The United States equals the pariah state. The United States equals the pariah state. You finance it, you give them protection, you do everything. So blood is in your hands. We saw the fiasco recently with Kamala Harris at the Democratic Convention, and she will support genocide light. Shame on them. Many, many years ago, I had the great privilege of working in Latin America. I came across brilliant people who were informed by what we call now liberation theology. Right at the heart of liberation theology was a preferential option for the poor. The idea was that every single thing that they did was to solve social injustice, economic injustice of the poor. So it was a preferential option for the poor. And it made me think, if we can have a preferential option for the poor, why can't we have a preferential option against the pariah state? Has anybody ever heard of POA TPS? Anybody heard of POA TPS? Well, it's not surprising because I've just made it up. But it stands for Preferential Option Against the Pariah State. That's what it stands for. Now, I've just got one question. If we have the BDS movement against Israel, in our minds, if we've had apartheid associated with South Africa and also with Israel now, why can we not have the pariah state associated with the United States in our minds? Make it popular. That's the last thing they want. They care about soft power. They care about their reputation despite their murderers. So everywhere we go, we have to associate America, the United States, not its people, because its people are fighting just as hard as we are, many of them, the pariah state. So what does that mean then? I know this is really, really crazy. It's a mad idea. But remember Mary Manning and her wonderful grapefruit. What if they had a preferential option against the pariah state? And so, all things being equal, if we can, in our purchasing power, we decide that we're not going to buy anything from an American corporation. Just imagine that took place. Imagine that was seen to be cool, just as it was not to buy goods from South Africa. It's a mad idea. That's never going to work. They're going to laugh at us. The most powerful country in the world. You young people, make it a meme. Make it live. Pass it on. I mean, it's got to be ridiculous if Mr. Cook gets a letter from somebody who says, well, I've decided not to renew my iPhone, and Mr. Cook, I'm going Samsung because of the POA TPS. What the fuck is that? Eh? What is it? It's the preferential option against the pariah state. So let's make it live. Little things by millions of us can make us a difference, and it gives us strength and it gives us hope. So let's keep hope alive. Let's remember Mary Manning and her wonderful grapefruit. Let's remember St. Augustine, who 1500 years ago said, hope is two beautiful daughters. Anger at the way things are, and the courage to try and change them. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Friends, I guess that by now all of you know.
So, oh wow, that's a bit close, isn't it? What are you saying? Robert's all right. You're doing your heathen. You're doing your heathen. It's good. You can't really hear. So Alison Thewlis there going there. I was so disappointed. I think I'm better standing here trying to get some interviews. Just talk to you guys. Well, that's all very interesting, and no, I'm not sure how much it's got to do with Scotland and Scottish issues. I think the preoccupation with the SNP trying to do foreign policy when there is no remit for the Scottish Parliament or the SNP. Well, maybe you could argue if they've got people in Westminster, they will have some input in foreign policy. But it's not certainly something the SNP conference or the SNP Parliament can actually do anything about. But yeah, it's quite incredible, and none of these issues are going to be addressed by the SNP. Not going to be addressed by the SNP. It could merely be commented on. But we're not addressing Scottish issues, and that's really what is more important, especially because it's going to be the Scottish election that's next. Well, it's important to take some sort of stance on what's happening in Gaza and trying to get a ceasefire, stop the killings. It's people like me who understand what Islam is. When Hamas got elected, the Hamas were democratically elected and then became a dictatorship. So there was no way, if Hamas was bad, to replace it. And the reason that Hamas was able to stay in, and Muslim people know this, is because Islam is not democratic. It's a theocratic. It's not fascistic in the purest fascist sense, but it's certainly authoritarian. It's basically authoritarian dictatorship, and that's what Islam is. So the reason that the Muslim majority in Gaza was quite happy to be governed by Hamas, who are seen as a prescribed terrorist group, is because Islam is not democratic. It uses violence to support its theocratic authoritarianism, and then once it gets in, its men they get in to impose this theocratic dictatorship on the country. And that's what Keir Starmer sided with. Him and we call me pals. I've sided with this authoritarian theocracy, which would be horrific to live in, horrific. Women getting stoned to death for adultery. I mean, it's just horrific. So what the Jews have done, what the Israelis have done, is tried to attack Hamas. Now, to me, it looks quite indiscriminate, the bombing as well. So it's not to replace Hamas, but even if Hamas was replaced, say, for the PLO, the dictatorship of Islam, because these people are Arabs and Muslims, the theocratic dictatorship of Muslims means that they are anti-democratic and want to impose the theocratic, we'll call it fascism, but it's more religious authoritarianism on the populace. So it doesn't matter if you're not a Muslim, they want to impose it on you, and you'll have to be dictated to by the rules of the Quran. So that's the objective of all Muslims worldwide. It's not just one. There's only 3 democratically elected Muslim majority countries, and that's Turkey, which used to be called Byzantium, used to be a Christian country, Indonesia and Pakistan. And obviously Pakistan has got a lot of corruption problems. They just took down the cricketer, Imran Khan. So it's deeply anti-democratic, and Muslims know it's anti-democratic, because all the rest of them are all either dictatorships, military, religious dictatorships, or and they'll try and impose by the open door immigration that all 5 parties have alluded to, because they're all shills for the globalists. This will happen here because what will happen is, through weight of numbers, women getting indoctrinated into feminism and the far left policies and feminism, want to be girl bosses like Nicola Sturgeon, who's now up. Nicola Sturgeon is now potentially going to be up on charges for the orchestration of false sexual allegations, which you heard here first. No other channel was saying that this was a possibility before us. And we got it correct. Again, Nicola Sturgeon could be up on the orchestration of false sexual allegations. Where's the finality of the missing £600,000 from the Snp coffers for independence? Where's that case? Where's the case out of putting people into care homes? Where's the finality of these cases? When are they going to be finalised? It looks like they're being put into the political long grass. They look like they've been put into the political long grass, and they've been forgotten about. And because of the control of the judiciary and the police by the SNP, all these have just been long grass. 3 years later, we still haven't got any resolution to whether or not Nicola Sturgeon's husband is going to go to jail. And her wee cabal, wee gold members like Swinney and Hamas Useless and people like that are still in power. So they still control the courts and the police. So obviously they've just delayed it and put it in the green grass, and they're not any further forward. Not any further forward. So we don't know what the outcome of these. We don't know what the outcome of these investigations are into Nicola Sturgeon's husband, into Nicola Sturgeon putting people in care homes, into the changing of the switching off people on ventilators and things like that, and the murder of people in Scotland. We've not got any conclusion, not even a conclusion. It's not even been brought any further forward. It's not been brought any further forward. So why has it not been brought forward? We do not have the right to actually get the police, because the police are controlled, the judiciary is controlled, and they're not bringing any of these charges forward. And especially on it was just put out yesterday that Nicola Sturgeon may be getting charged for the orchestration of fake sexual allegations against Alex Salmond. And it only came out last night. So the state is potentially orchestrating false sexual allegations, and when they get found out, they may have done this before, but they've been potentially found out because of the political influence that Alex Salmond have got. They are now potentially going to Nicola Sturgeon potentially going to get charged for orchestrating these false sexual allegations. Cheers. Can I ask you a question?
No, thank you.
No? I was just wanting to know why the SNP are named after an invading Irish tribe and not named after the Britons that were originally here.
All right.
Can I just? I'm just trying to get some clarity. Why the SNP are named after an invading Irish tribe called the Scotai, and the original inhabitants here were the Britons. The Picts were Brythonic, and the original language was Brythonic. Why are they named after an invading Irish tribe? No, none. Okay, thanks guys, thank you. So, people wouldn't have thought about it. People will not have put any input into why that is. And a lot of these people who are supporting the SNP may well be of Brythonic ancestry, the original Britons. It was the original Britons who fought against the Romans, the original Britons that fought against the Vikings. In Braveheart, it was all guys in kilts, which would have came from the Irish. Which the Irish Scotai, there's two different. There's like the after the potato farm, a lot of Irish people come over. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the original invasion of what is now called Scotland by the invading Irish tribe from Dalriada. So the original languages is not English, which I'm speaking, or Germanic, Brythonic, National, Heed, Nippers, Brythonic, National, Heed, Nippers. But they don't have an answer to that. Brythonic, National, Heed, Nippers. So Brythonic, or probably something close to Cumbrian, would be actually the original language of what is now called Scotland, named after the invading Irish tribe. That's not the Irish that came here, immigrated here. That's the initial Dalriada mob, who are actually the kilts. Guys in the kilts are probably from that, but some of them will be Brythonic or Britons. It was the Britons of Strathclyde, and Strathclyde stretched right down to Cumbria, and would have stretched through to what is now called Edinburgh, which was called Godobin. So this place is not Edinburgh, this is Godobin. That's the original Celtic, Brythonic Celtic name of this place at this time. So it's all very strange. Alex Salmond's thing was named after Alex Salmond's party was named after Alopecia or Alba, which is also the Irish name for what is now called Scotland. So they don't really seem to know the history of this country. And although we've got used to calling it Scotland, it's not really Scotland. It's Britain, Northern Britain, Briton, or Caledonia. That's the names of what is now called Scotland, the land of the Irish, apparently. Hi there.
As we stand here now, it is happening, it's ongoing, the trauma is deliberate. 512 attacks in West Bank alone on healthcare facilities, with 23 deaths of health workers, 98 injured. 54 healthcare centres have been attacked, 350 ambulances have been damaged, partially destroyed or completely destroyed, and a further 20 clinics have also there have been 86 healthcare workers detained.
Israel's F-35 jets.
I thought you were on protection. I thought they said make sure Valentine's protected out here. Noising up the politicians, the political class. Can I ask a question, gents? Can I ask a question?
Who are you?
My name is David Valentine. I'm from the Guerilla TV channel.
Right.
My question is, why is the Scottish National Party named after an invading Irish tribe when the original inhabitants, were Brythonic? No, it doesn't matter. See the way I answer, I don't actually know. I don't think they know. I don't think they genuinely know the answer to that. Hi there. So I don't think they actually know the answer to that. Can you answer this, sir? Can you answer the question? Do you know about Scottish history? Come on up, sir. Come on up, come on up, come on up. Come on up, don't be shy, sorry. Don't be shy. Sorry, come on. Can you answer for there? If I answer the question, you answer it for there. Why is the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe when the original inhabitants here were the Britons, they were Brythonic, they spoke Brythonic, like we're speaking English just now, English it comes from English, and like Gaelic comes from the Irish, but the original inhabitants here were the Britons. Why are we not learning Brythonic?
Probably above my pay grade.
Is that again?
Probably above my pay grade.
That's above your pay. He said it's above my pay grade. I mean, I don't think you're alone, to be honest with you. I don't think that. Quite interesting, though, isn't it? Do you not think that's interesting? We're named after an invading Irish tribe. I see it. See you later, buddy. Thanks. So yeah. Very interesting. There's not really an answer. It's not the people that, as I said, it's not the Irish that came from the potato famine, came over for employment. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the original Dalriada, Scotai, they speak Gaelic, which is Irish, a dialect of Irish. So I do not think people should have a bit more respect for the indigenous population here, which are obviously Brythonic. So, just something to think about. As I said, Alopecia, or whatever Alex Salmon's mob are called, is named after the Gaelic as well, not the Brythonic. So it's something that's a bit weird. Let me try and articulate. There's people in Scotland who are part Gaels, part Viking. People in Scotland are part Gael, part Viking. And that it would be akin to having the SNP called the Viking National Party, or the Northern, I don't know, the Norway National Party. That would be the equivalent. Although the Scots, the Britons of Strathclyde defeated them at the Battle of Largs, but defeated the Vikings, just like they did with the Romans, just like they did with the English. It was the Britons, and there was who were speaking Brythonic, who were here, and who were the originals. And that's not to say that there's not other people here, but I think there should be a bit more respect for the original inhabitants. That doesn't mean Britons can't support Scottish independence, but I think that from an ethnic and an ethnic replacement point of view, which is illegal under international law, that we should have a bit of knowledge about who actually who are the OGs, who's this, what country this actually is. So it would either be Northern Britain or Caledonia, and that would be the sort of the Caledonian National Party, I guess it would be called, if it was going to be inclusive. So we've got two entities here. We've got the far left, who seem to be high up on the SNP. So we've got left-wing state interference, people with the rent, and we've got people who, a lot of people, these people are supporting Palestine seem to be foreign as well. There seems to be quite a lot of, no, I'm not talking about the Muslim Arabic individuals. I'm talking about the fact that there's a lot of people here that seem to be Spanish and from other places other than Scotland, and it's really dominating the proceedings. We're not getting to speak about Scottish issues on the back of this. And I think this is a problem. This is a problem that we've got here. That the issues that are going to rise and will arise up to the next election will not be discussed, because if this is going to continue, all we can hear is the noise from the protesters, which is a bit unfair for anybody else that's got any other issues. I saw Alison Thewlis there and I was down to speak to her. Can I ask you a question? Hello. Can I ask you a question? I'm on, are you with the SNP? Come on in, sorry, I don't bite. You're on video. Do you want your video or not?
Oh no, I'm just saying what's it for?
I want to ask you a question. In Scotland we've got a declining population. What is the SNP's policy to increase birth rate, Indigenous birth rates? Do you not think that's a bit strange though, that we've got a declining birth rate and the SNP don't have any policy? It seems like it's a problem just now.
Well, it very well might be, but it very well might be, but as I say, I don't know specifically if there is any plans.
So you don't know, but I don't think there is. I agree with you. I think you're correct. There isn't any.
Oh, there might be.
And do you not think that's a problem? They're not actually discussing this, which is a pretty prominent issue. We've discussed a lot of women's issues over the last few decades now. Getting them to girl bosses stage and getting them into the workforce. But we've not really talked about what the difficulty with that is and the decline in the birth rate.
I think, at the end of the day, if people didn't want to have children, it's entirely up to themselves.
Well, it's entirely up to women. Men don't really have the right not to have children. It's only really up to women if we don't have children. Would you agree?
I think, the economic policies the SNP has is also,
a problem?
No.
Yeah, it's
no,
a problem.
It's not. But if the economy was better, and the SNP wants the economy to be better, people would be more inclined to have children because they would have the money.
I like you already. Do you want to come on? Because I think you sound very sensible. You sound. What's your name? Mandan. Listen on, you go, Mandan. Mandan, it was nice speaking to you. I think that's correct as well. I think you nailed that right on the end there.
Also, it's not the SNP's fault if the economy's bad,
Well, it is kind of, but I could debate that with you. But listen, thanks very much. It was good to see you. Yeah, so I'll tell you why the SNP. Where's the Scottish stock market? Where's that? Wee Nippy gave $1 million. Hi there. Where's the Scottish stock market that Nippy gave $1 million to? Where is it? No, I didn't want to speak. That's that big guy from, I don't know where he's from, who's not wanting to discuss the policies. Of course, it's the SNP's policies. The focus, the SNP locked us in for a virus that was 99% survivable, 99. There's been flus that have had a worse kill rate than the coronavirus. And they locked us in, destroyed small businesses. Then they said they were going to give £1 million to really annoying these guys, man. A Scottish stock market. Now, a Scottish stock market, we had 3 Scottish stock markets before we gave them all to London. In London and the SEC have destroyed 8 of the life offices in Scotland. They've reduced the ability to get competitors in, and we have to get control of our own financial services regulation. Whether that's a Devo Max referendum and be able to control what is happening in Scotland from a financial services point of view, which will benefit the whole of the UK, not just Scotland, because we had some fantastic banking and financial services. We don't own any banks. We can't set up any banks because Westminster and England control our policy to actually set up, or Westminster controls it in particular. So then they stop competition in the market. So we've now got a corporatist. I mean, because they're moving, because of the £1 million wouldn't clean the floors. That's right, mate. That's completely correct. Of the stock exchange, that's completely correct. It was completely ridiculous. We would have to give an amount of money to get up and running, and then an additional amount of money to make sure it's functional on the back of that. And that would be a non-definable amount. Probably less than the cost for the horrible Scottish Parliament building, but it would actually allow people to generate business and generate wealth, and that's what they've not done. A handout to donors. Well, it might be a handout to donors, but it would be better having some economic benefits. I would go from the fact that it would be better. Oh, you talking about the £1 million? That's right. The £1 million was probably literally a handout to donors. Can you imagine me getting £1 million? I had to set up multiple businesses by now. Multiple. I've not received one penny, both from the state or the public sector, for doing that. Yeah, mate. I think it was a donor. I think if you look back in the Scottish stock market, he was actually a donor. So you're correct. So, but no stock market, £1 million of taxpayers' money disappeared up someone's ass. Probably we end up getting handbacks as well, whether through the party or they use your state payers' money, pay the donor then pays the SNP. But no stock market, no further forward. Up their nose, up their nose, up their nose. So, I'll just turn this right.
Hello there, ladies.
Have you, every time I need a stronger grip on this. That was Deirdre Block there. So they can't answer any questions. That just shows how rude they are. They can't. Eventually, when we become a political party, they're not going to be able to stop, and the questions will be getting answered. The questions will be getting asked and answered, because eventually we will become a political entity, and we'll make sure that we are going along to these places. Now, also one of the other things they do is they don't tell. So if you had a hustings so people can come and hear me speak, they don't tell you. They only let the big five globalist parties discuss it, and they don't actually allow the smaller parties. They don't tell them when the hustings are on. Gents, can I ask a question? Why are the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe? No. No, oh well. So, see, can't answer it. Now, you would think, if somebody asked me a question, like say somebody, I can't think of any left-wing media that could actually ask me questions, but if, say, left-wing, right-wing, centrist, authoritarian, libertarian, I would at least have the decency to answer the question or have a stab at it. And they can't do it. They can't answer the questions. They're at a political conference, can't answer. Can I ask you a question, madam? Why is the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe? Why is it not called, because the original inhabitants here were the Britons, and this is like called Godobin. Why are you promoting Irish, which is Gaelic, and not Brythonic, which is the indigenous language here?
Check that one out.
Thanks very much. At least she was nice, wasn't she? You can get away with niceness. So, no answer to the questions. I mean, I'm not asking. It's not really a very difficult question, but it's certainly something. And as I've told you before, it's illegal under international law to ethnically cleanse or use legislation, which is what two-tier care's doing just now, to ethnically cleanse a population. It's illegal under international law to ethnically cleanse a population. I don't know what would happen if you were an invading tribe and you ethnically cleanse them first, and then they come back and ethnically cleanse you. I don't know how that would work, but that's certainly something that would be quite interesting to find out in international law. But and as I said, I don't know, I may actually be from the original Dowry Adam law, but Valentine comes from the Celtic god Baal, and Tain meaning fire. And there was also a lot of interaction between Scotland and Ireland just now, for centuries before. And one of the things that the Americans don't understand is that the Irish call the people in Northern Ireland Brits, which comes from the Britons. So what they know, and those of us that understand Scottish history know, is that it was a lot of Britons from Strathclyde that are now in Northern Ireland. So the Irish call them Brits, but both Celtic, so they're both ethnically the same. So when the hi there, can you ask me a question? Can I ask a question? It's a very simple question. Dalriada they were called the Scotai. So the Scotai from Dalriada were an invading Irish tribe. Why is the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe and not the original Britons, the Celtic Britons and Brythonic, which is the original language from here?
I could not tell you. I was only here for RGU. Well done. Welcome to Guerilla TV.
See the nice ones you could get on there. What about this David Clue story? What is this David Clue story? Tell us the David. I don't know it. I don't know. Is he getting arrested? I mean, I'm surprised I'm not next. The authoritarianism that's going on with the lesbian prick Keir Starmer. We already told you not to vote for the Labour Party because we had already. I'm going to do the thing about Keir Starmer and the guys at Trigonometry who spoke to Peter Hitchens, who was Christopher Hitchens' brother. Now, I like Christopher Hitchens because he talked about atheism and he was great in that, but I knew that Christopher Hitchens was a Marxist like his brother. He was a communist. And Peter Hitchens, who is an ex-communist, had said that he was that Keir Starmer was actually the extreme left. I mean, he was the extreme left even in the Marxist sphere of political influence. And now he's come in and became incredibly authoritarian, hates his own country, hates the continuing invasion by immigrants. He's obviously pro-Islam while having Jewish children and supporting Israel. He's probably screw the indigenous Brits or the English or the Scots or whatever it is, screw them. We'll just impose authoritarian dictatorial measures on the populace, and we'll just screw them over rather than actually taking any principled stand, which you wouldn't expect from somebody who's far left. So he kidded on that he wasn't the extreme left like Jeremy Corbyn. Obviously, Jeremy potentially known that he was on the extreme left. Starmer carrying out a pogrom is it a pogrom on the British people? I wouldn't say it was right. Nobody went up and said, "Oh, excuse me, are you far right? Would you describe yourself as far right?" There's three things that you should fog off the far right. What you should say, you were pro-libertarian, right? So you're anti-authoritarian, because then if they're supporting the authoritarian side, that means that they're the bad guys, they're the dark side. You should say that you're anti-globalist because you don't want to be controlled from a cabal, 20 unelected commissioners. And you should say you're anti-communist because the communists, and anti-Islam because the communists have killed 100 million people worldwide, and the Marxists have killed. The Marxists have killed 100 million people worldwide, and the Islamists have killed 240 million people worldwide for over 1,400 years. The Marxists have only had just over 100. In fact, it must be coming up for 200 years. Marx started writing in 1833 or something like that, something close to that. So it's 200 years of Marxism. So you should it shouldn't get a label put on you. You should tell them what you are. We're anti-authoritarian, we're anti-globalist, we're anti-Islamic because they're fascist, and we're anti-communist. And that's the four things you should stand on. Or you could stand on with the British flag or even the English flag, whatever. Or the Northern Irish theory is going and decrying the Northern Irish over there, Keir Starmer. Absolute wronging. So, yeah. So that's that's where you should stand on. And that way, when you've got libertarian flags, you've got anti-authoritarian flags, you've got, you can just make them up, libertarian flags, anti-authoritarian flags, anti-communist flags, anti-Islamic flags. You can actually then target what you're not. Not a fascist. So give me the funny look. So that's how you solidify what you are and what you're against. So that's what you need to do. And that way, when they get their media to try and pervert your story and what you are actually for and against, you can say, we're against Islam because 240 million people died. We're against communism because 100 million people died or were murdered. And we're against globalism because we're 20 unelected commissioners dictating our legislation. It's pretty fascistic, if not communist. And we're against, and we're pro-free speech, and we're pro-liberal democracy. And that way you can mitigate all the far right. That's far right, that's far right. Keir Starmer is literally the far left. But it's quite interesting. Not only is he duped us to saying, we're the Tony Blair-esque, social democratic, globalist shill type of authoritarians. He and like Kamala Harris in the United States, Kamala Harris in the United States is also a communist. Her father was a communist. She's been spouting off communist talking points. So both Sir Keir Starmer and also Kamala Harris are both of the far. They're not liberals. I'm the liberal. I'm the liberal here. I'm the libertarian liberal. I'm a centrist libertarian, or a centrist liberal, but with I've not got libertarian. I'm more libertarian than probably would describe myself as liberal. But they're not. They're the. That's why she's not giving interviews with anybody else. You should always fear that a politician that won't give interviews with any opposite thinking politicians. I would destroy in 5 minutes. I would tell her, she's getting social justice. Where did the word social justice come from? It came from Marx. It's a communist term. It's not justice. That's why people are being discriminated based on their ethnicity. So that when they brought in race-based communism, and race-based and other social-based systems like anti-women, they're trying to bring in the anti-misogyny thing coming in, and they're trying to bring in, that's from the cultural Marxists. So there's not a clear line between the cultural Marxists and the traditional Marxists, because the traditional Marxists are for the working class. But this is what they've brought in. This is what Kamala Harris, because she's a communist piece of shit, are brought in the America. And when you hear somebody talk about social justice and not a justice system, they believe in a gerrymandered justice system. They believe in discriminatory justice. Oh, well, this black guy's killed 3 people, but he's black, so he's obviously oppressed. So his murdering the people is a lesser crime. Gents, are you the liaison, guys? All right, you busy? Oh. So, yeah, that's that. So that is basically what's happening. They are bringing in communist, and because people don't read political theory such as myself, they don't know that social justice is a communist term. They think, so that sounds good, it's horrific. Basically what you're saying is, we've decided who's the oppressor and who's the oppressor. Well, they're in charge, so they're the oppressor. The communists in charge are the oppressor. That's what happens. So they're the people in charge. It's not somebody by dint of their skin colour who's the oppressor, or the oppressed for that matter. The people in charge are the oppressors. And it's now starting to look. Don't forget that who's that baldy? Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab's the son of a Nazi. I already explained to you that National Socialism is like, I don't know if you guys have seen. I'm trying to explain this to my mum. Aliens 3. Aliens 3. Ridley gets spliced with the alien. Ridley's DNA gets spliced with the alien DNA, and they got a bastard child, a big white thing, that then attacked the alien, the actual aliens that he protected Ridley, but attacked the alien. They attacked the alien and killed the alien. That's the relationship between both Marxism and National Socialism, and anarcho-syndicalism, which is like a libertarian communism. Like anarcho-syndicalism and anarcho-communism sits very close to each other, and the fascists. Why do you think that the anti-fascists, the communists, don't only go after the fascists? There's tons of different types of authoritarian. If they were against all authoritarianism, they'd protesting Islam. So why do you think, can I ask you a question, guys? Are you guys at this conference? Why is the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe? No, don't really get it. So they're not. People say, oh, it's not Marxism. I know it's not Marxism. It's of Marxism and anarcho-syndicalists. From anti-fascism came from the anarcho-syndicalists. Giovanni Gentili and Mussolini were, well, I knew they were both socialists, but I didn't know what type, but they were both anarcho-syndicalists. So it's a splinter of anarcho-syndicalism, fascism, and National Socialism, just like cultural Marxism is a schism of Marxism. It's not the same, it's a schism based off that. All the leading Nazis, Hitler was in a Jewish-led communist party called the Bavarian Socialist Party, or whatever it was, who were in links with the USSR in Russia at the movement when the communists were taking over in Russia. And Hitler was a part of that Jewish Marxist communist, and they were actually they were seen as the far left. And leading Nazis came out of that communist political party, and a large part of the Nazis came out the Social Democratic Party, which was Karl Marx, the political inspiration for communism. They came out of that. That's why the National Socialism tried to devour communism, because they were the bastard child, just the same as the fascists tried to attack the anarcho-syndicalists. And that's why George Orwell, which obviously Keir Starmer thinks it's his manifesto rather than a warning to the West. Green Party 2. I spoke to Patrick Harvey. Patrick Harvey wouldn't answer what if he was a communist or not, if it was a Marxist party. He wouldn't answer it. So what's the thing about the link between Klaus Schwab, the son of a Nazi, supporting Trudeau, who's illiberal, been supporting communists? They want to bring in a authoritarian. Now the Chinese communists have dropped the actual state-based Marxism, economic Marxism, to, it's not strictly fascism, but it's a fascistic-esque type of economy, and that's what they're trying to bring in the West. And that's when you're voting for Kamala Harris, Keir Starmer, communists. They're all part of the globalist shills, and want to bring in the one world government and the one world communist dictatorship. That you'll all be just a communist show. In the economic, you'll have no freedom. You'll be surveilled, and you'll be under or you'll go to jail, and you'll get gulagged, which is exactly what Keir Starmer's done. After children were being murdered, he didn't actually mention, he's never mentioned, as far as I'm aware, very briefly, the murder of these children by somebody who immigrated here through his plan. He doesn't care about the murders. He cares about the response to the murders. So he doesn't care about, just like all true communists, doesn't care about the people who get murdered. Can I ask you a question, madam? Why is the Scottish National Party named after an invading Irish tribe? Not prepared to answer it. Not prepared to answer it. So that's what I'm basically saying. So they're using. I don't know what happened to David Clues. What happened to David Clues? I'm glad that David Clues was back on YouTube. I don't banning Scottish media systems. I'll revert into saying Scottish because I know that's what everybody's been indoctrinated into. So Stammer sees child murders as a useful political pretext, yeah, and he might be breaking international law in the fact that he is ethnically cleansing and using discriminatory rules against indigenous population in favour of the population replacement. That's illegal under international. That's a genocide as well. And I mean, it could be argued what's happening in thing is a genocide. That could be argued. I try and stay out of the Arab-Israeli conflict because I've not got anything on the ground. I don't know what's actually happening, and I'm sure that a lot of the information is going to be skewed politically. So I try and stay out of it, but there has definitely been a demolition of the people. I don't know how many people have been killed. I don't even know if they take out Hamas because Muslims don't believe in democracy. There wouldn't just be another type of Hamas that would be brought in its place, or whether the PLO. I don't even know if the PLO are democratic. But the Stammer is doing to the UK what Israel is doing to the UK. He's doing it to UK what Israel's basically doing the West Bank and doing to the people in Palestine. So that's the issue here. That's the issue. So you can understand why the SNP are a bit sticky as well about answering any questions, because obviously there's been a lot of things that have been actually happening here. There's a lot of things that have actually been an issue. Hi there. How you doing? You want to come in and have a wee chat? You want a wee chat? Just tell us why you're here and what you're thinking about things. Come on to the straight side, sir. You're on live now. Aye, on TV. Just let me. I'll move this round a bit for it. Carry on, sir.
I'm here because I'm appalled at the situation in Gaza, and I think I believe that the SNP were honourable in it. And then when I heard about Robertson meeting with them, I was appalled.
But we surely, well, firstly, the SNP, I was thinking about this, only the SNP MPs should potentially mean, because the SNP, the Scottish government, the Scottish politicians, really don't have any foreign policy because it's not devolved.
But they've got a moral position. Right?
A moral position, right, okay.
And I think they've dishonoured it, really, and disappointed a lot of Scottish people who stand with the Palestinians.
Can I ask you a question though? Obviously they're saying it's a genocide just now, but the original inhabitants of what is now called Scotland are the Britons, and Brythonics, original language, the Scots were an invading Irish tribe.
Yeah.
So no, but I'm just saying, if the genocide's wrong, you've got a moral position.
Of course.
Surely it must be consistent.
Genocide is wrong. Of course it is.
So it should be called. Should you agree that this should either be called Caledonia or Northern Britain?
We're talking about the here and now.
Oh, right, okay.
In Gaza, it's not funny actually.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing about it.
Over 40,000 people been killed by weapons from the UK, US, and Europe.
No, I'm just laughing. I was worried about the duopoly of politics.
No, I don't think there's any inconsistency. I think
I disagree.
Well, okay.
I would say I was potentially Brythonic in Britain, So why am I named after an invading Irish tribe?
Well, what's your point? I mean,
my point is that
Israel's occupied Palestine.
And Scots are occupying Northern Britain.
And Britain was complicit in that, instrumental in
but
1948 or even 1918.
But Stammer seems to be complicit. The SNP, and he's obviously raising the children Jewish. SNP seem to be complicit as well.
Stammer's fully complicit.
The SNP seem to be complicit. I think one thing you probably don't know. I used to live in the Middle East. I used to live with a Palestinian guy, so I've got Palestinian friends.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of Palestinian people, so I hear from them as well. This is very much about the occupation, the oppression, and the genocide. It's not about, that's what it's about for me. And the fact
what's the right policy?
Well,
what's the right policy?
It's complicated because obviously the whole two-state solution was what was being proposed, but that's been sabotaged by Israel. Because
what do you think?
Because of illegal settlements,
in the West Bank.
The West Bank, international law. There's 750,000 plus settlers there. So in order to get a two-state solution, you have to get them out to kind of get the Palestinians back to that piece of their land.
But what do you think of the 7th of October, though? What was your thoughts on that?
I thought it was appalling. It was appalled, obviously.
Do you think Israel had the right to then attack Hamas? Yeah, I'm torn on this one because I'm not really, so I'm not coming with a political outlook.
I mean, obviously people have the right to defend themselves, but I mean Hamas, that wasn't the beginning of the Hamas was fighting back, and I'm not supporting or condoning killing civilians at all. I think I would like to have seen the hostages freed, and I'd like to see the Palestinian hostages in Israeli prisons, in the dungeons under the ground, being tortured, 9,500 of them. I'd love to see them freed too. So
it's difficult. I think it's difficult, isn't it?
It's difficult now because the two-state solution has become sabotaged by Israel with the support of America and the UK. They were kind of supporting.
Do you think this is for the oil?
Pardon?
Do you think this is for the oil of the?
Well, I don't know, but it's certainly, I would like to have thought that would have been the solution, but now I don't know. I think maybe they'll have to at some point live together, like they did pre-1948. Muslim Christians and Jews lived happily together. And obviously that's a lot of water under the bridge since then. So but I'll need to go now.
That's great. Listen, thank you very much. You did very well there. Did well. Thank you very much. Guerilla TV channel. I'm David. Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you. So, but I didn't think he got what I was trying to say. If population replacement is bad, it's bad consistently. That's what I'm saying. But this doesn't. The Scottish elections for the Scottish Parliament to actually have Scottish legislation. Well, I'm sure this is a very important cause. That this has nothing to do with improving Scottish society here, and the domination of this protest outside is failing to address any Scottish issues that have arisen, and we've got a lot of issues that are going to be based around what is going to happen in the next Scottish election. So that's the difficulty we've got here. With this protest, I would have liked to have seen the protest moved along or moved outside. I don't think that something like this can dominate Scottish local, because it is local. Unintentionally affects the rest of the UK. But the next election after this is going to be the Scottish election. In 18 months, and I don't think we're getting any issues discussed about Scotland here with this. As important as the issue may be. So I don't know if you saw that. It's swinging about this. I think I need a new tripod. It's not cheap doing this, guys. I tell you, it's not cheap. That's probably why all the media, like in America and the UK, has all been sort of bought and paid for by the state. That's why Trudeau was able to buy his abuse of the truckers and by the media in Canada, who as another liberal that's been advocating for the support of communist China. Now, you could say that makes sense from a political point of view, and the fact that you are allowing people to you're allowing people or you're allowing interaction between two political entities. But I certainly don't think that the ideal political system is the Chinese communist system. And as a liberal, that's not something that I would recommend or support. I mean, it's quite incredible. But these people kid on, pass themselves off as social democrats, liberals, and they're nothing of the same. If you don't understand the political theory when they're actually saying social democracy, social justice, and racist comes from Trotsky, who murdered millions of people. And it was him that mentioned that racism or racist in his book. That's what's been used. Communist terms have been used to browbeat individuals in the West. And it's the human race, so the word racist, well, the people, unless you believe that other people are a different race, are actually racist. Different ethnicity, yes, but not a different race. So they're shouting intifada revolution. So they're talking about a religious overthrowing of the state to bring in a Muslim theocracy, Muslim dictated theocracy. And that's certainly not something I would want to see here. Horrific. Horrific. But what we've got now is a combination of Islamists, which is not part of the it's antithetical. There's no right-wing politician that you can think of, what we would call far right or even right-wing, that's advocating killing homosexuals like Islam does. There's nobody that advocates stoning adulterous women to death like Islam is. There's nobody that wants to cut off women's clitorises like Islam is. And there's Jess Phillips down at her count, blaming intimidation by Muslim men, Muslim immigrants to here, and then not blaming them and blaming all men. It wasn't all men, Jess. It was the Muslims in your community because of their misogyny, which again is against the cultural Marxism. Because the cultural Marxists would eventually go against Muslims if Muslims became a majority here, because it's antithetical to social justice and Muslim Marxism. Marxism and Islam, if either one was in power, would overthrow the other, and that's exactly what happened when the left brought the Muslims to power in Iran. They overthrew the left and killed all the left wingers. So the left are actually stoking the fires of their own destruction, and that's what they're doing. But at the same time, our political class, the Greens, I'll come back to the Greens in a minute, the Greens, the SNP, are all just shells for the actual globalists. And they're all just supporting the technocratic, corporatist, almost, what do you call it? Feudal incorporation, corporatist feudal incorporation of this new globalist entity with the one world government, and they'll utilise anybody, any group, any ideology that facilitates that moving forward, including Keir Starmer. I would suggest that Keir Starmer's allegiance is to the globalists first, and then maybe to the Marxism. Hello, sir. Hello there. Can I ask a question, sir? You're an MSP, aren't you? MP. So why is the SNP, right, do you know about Scottish history?
Of course, yeah.
Right, that's good. So why is the SNP named after an invading Irish tribe from Dalriada and Scotai?
Are we talking about 1,500 years
yeah,
ago?
Yeah. But why is it named after that and not named after the Brythonics, the Britons who were the original inhabitants of here? And obviously Brythonic is the original language here, not English or Irish, which is Gaelic. The originals are Britons. So why is it?
So just to clarify, I actually study Scottish history, so it's
that's
a really
good,
good
that's
question.
Good. That's good. Actually, I like that. Can I let me, because there's a few. I like MPs and MPs that actually do their job. And
What's
actually,
your name, sir?
I'm David Valentine. It's an absolute pleasure, sir. I'm David. What's your name, sir?
I'm Chris. I'm Chris Law. Nice to meet you.
Chris is an MP for the SNP. So congratulations, Chris. At last, somebody that was actually prepared to actually talk. Carry on, Chris.
Yeah, so there's a lot of misconceptions about what Scotland is.
Yeah.
It took a very long time to become a unified nation.
Yeah.
You could argue it was around the Wars of Independence, but it actually came much later. So you had the Gaels in the north, the Picts in the northeast.
I would say the Picts were a Brythonic tribe as well. There's a lot of mysticism around the Picts, but the likelihood is now from you research that the Picts were just a Brythonic tribe.
It may be. I don't know much about that.
And there's a lot of Norse Gaels. There's a lot of Gaels who were Irish, but were also invaded by or DNA combined with the Gaels. So there's Norse Gaels going on.
So and then you've also got the Vikings who were
Well,
particularly in the north and islands. So the Scots originally come far earlier.
1500, same as the English.
No, way earlier. If you go back thousands of years, they come from a place called Scythia, which is where we call Crimea today. And then they travelled across what we'd say the European continent today. Places like Galicia, where I visited last year, was fascinating. Because that's where the Scots settled. So the Scots settled there.
You talking about the Irish Scots or the
So the Irish Scots originate from Galicia. So the Scots went from Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Ukraine, came across Europe into Italy, but more particularly in northwest Spain and Galicia. And then from Galicia they travelled into Ireland, and then eventually Northern Ireland and into Scotland.
But that's not my point though. My point is so you basically, I agree with you, I'm not disagreeing with you, so we're not contradicting. You're saying that's what the Scots did, I agree, but the Britons were here a lot longer. It was the Britons that struck light that fought the Romans. It was the Britons that fought the Vikings at the Battle of Largs. It was the Britons. So Brave, you've seen Braveheart. So Braveheart is the story of Robert the Bruce going and fighting against the Muslims because they invaded Spain, and he took the heart to the Battle of Teva to fight the Muslim Moors, because they had invaded Spain. But the Britons were already here. So the original language, same with them.
But there was no one language, is the point I'm trying to make, so I don't dispute what you're saying. But actually, if we go back to medieval Scotland,
not medieval, I'm talking about the originals, I'm talking about the OGs, I'm talking about before they were invaded by the Vikings, which invading tribe, the English invading, the Scotai invading, the original inhabitants here are the Britons, and the original language is Brythonic, because they were the Britons of Strathclyde.
So this is something I don't know much about.
So the SNP are named after an invading Irish tribe, and the fact is...
So is the country, for that matter.
England is as well, because the Englands and the Britons came in the 5th century. So both England, but the original inhabitants here are the Britons, and the original language here, this is called Godalming. This is not actually Edinburgh. Edinburgh, I think, is maybe an English name, but this is originally called Godalming. This was all Britons, B-R-I-T-O-N, and this was all Celtic Britons. The Celtic Britons were the same, similar to the Celtic Irish. I don't know if there's a DNA difference, but that's it. Sorry, I'm an actor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you Catholic?
Yes.
Sorry, it's okay.
I'll finish this interview and I'll come and have a chat. Is that all right?
All right, okay.
And just one last thing, obviously.
Just 'cause it's been recorded. So.
We're actually going out live. One last thing. There's obviously a bit of a problem just now because last night it was announced that Nicola Sturgeon is being potentially chastised for orchestrating the thing with Alex Salmon. You must have seen that in the paper.
I haven't.
Well, it's out on the papers, so it's not something that's a secret. Do you think she would go to jail if she's found out to have orchestrated fake sexual allegations against Alex Salmon?
I would be very. I haven't seen any of the allegations around this.
It's out.
So I can't comment on that.
Fine.
I've got no idea.
But if she did orchestrate it, do you think she should go to jail?
I think that's a question for the judge and jury rather than myself.
And does the SNP control the judge and jury?
Of course they don't. They're independent. It goes without saying. Yes, of course they do.
Is the police independent?
Yeah, I should hope so.
So where's the investigation?
Listen,
right, okay, that's fine.
Not least because
No, you're doing well. You're doing very well.
It's fine,
Yeah, listen, you did very well, and thank you very much for talking. If you want to come on at any point, you can more than happy to have you on.
Okay.
That's okay. And good luck with the down south.
Thank you.
So. So, that was quite interesting, wasn't it? Let's see if we can get some more. Yeah, go on in, yeah. You can be as inappropriate as you want. We're a Libertarian channel, so we believe in freedom of speech, unlike Keir Starmer.
Right, thank you. That's really nice to meet you. No, because I phoned the BBC and asked them where they were because I felt this was a very significant event and that they should be stood here as well, filming this. And they said there's people inside, if they've got time they'll come outside.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the biggest discussions that's going on in there. Why are you not like here?
Well, can I make a point to you?
Yes, please.
I think it's important as well, but in the next 18 months, we've got a Scottish election, which I may or may not stand in, but I may stand in. As important as it is, and obviously they're saying there's arms being made in Scotland, they're getting transferred to Israel. There isn't much else going on other than the fact of this protest. And there's other issues in Scotland, for me personally, that I think they should be getting discussed with MPs. I just spoke to an MP there, with MPs that are going to be more important to me in Scotland here than it would be to even because the Scottish Parliament don't have no foreign policy, and they've not had any foreign policy transferred, and they also don't control the military either. So I don't know what control that they would have of any arms manufacturing. I don't know if that's reserved to Westminster. And just now we've got 18 months for a lead up to a Scottish election, and as important as the people in Palestine are, I think they should be discussing policy that's actually happening in Scotland. And not only the quite imposive situation with Palestine, if that makes sense.
It does, and I'm not disagreeing with the fact that there's multiple issues going on. I wouldn't disagree with that for a moment. However, I find that myself living in a country with banks that are arming Israel, making
all the banks,
out of
just to qualify that, all the banks are now owned by the City of London. There's no indigenous Scottish banks, although there's Bank of Scotland. They're all that. Yeah.
And also the fact that we have, ammunition factories here.
But we're going to need ammunition anyway. If we ever went to war, but you're saying don't sell them to the Israelis.
Well, we wouldn't sell it to Russia, would we?
Yeah, but it's quite interesting. See, the difficulty is, because I lived in the Middle East, I understand, and I've read the Quran and things like that, I understand Muslims quite well. So I understand them, because I've lived with the Palestinians, and I understand them. And he's a lovely guy, I loved him, and I've no issues with the Palestinians. But Islam is there's only 3 democratic Muslim states in the world. There's only Turkey, Pakistan and Indonesia. All the rest are theocratically totalitarian. They want to kill homosexuals, stone women to death for adultery,
and
are theocratic for fascists.
I will stop you there if you don't mind. I came over to say you know, what's being publicised about this peaceful movement. And
I know it's peaceful,
and
yeah.
the mass slaughter.
Yeah, I agree.
of innocent
I agree.
people.
I
When
agree.
they stop
I
there.
agree.
Thank you.
But a lot of mass slaughter happened when we were fighting against the Nazis as well, didn't we? We did. And I guess the question is, do we fight against authoritarian, totalitarian governments to free the people? That's a question. I do not get the answer to that, but that's just something to think about. Is that a fight that we do, or is it a fight we don't?
What we don't do, what we shouldn't do as a nation is support wherever it is in the world. We should not be making our money out of the slaughter of innocent.
Yeah, I do agree. Thank you. Well done. It was a good point. We have a whole generation of individuals who are, and they're trying to do this in school as well, who are literally virtue signaling without taking on board the hard political realities of the situation. That's what there is. It's not an easy situation. Both two fundamentalists religious ideals they stimulate from there, and we're getting dragged into it. So somebody was talking about the Green Party. So as you know, I talked to Harvey, and Harvey said that he didn't want to say if the Green Party were a Marxist party. Don't forget as well that from the globalists, they want to impose this green agenda, which means that people will not get their winter heating and die. So British people will die from not getting their winter heating, especially in Scotland, obviously being colder. Will die from not getting winter heating. The price of actual electricity shot up. They're not prepared to bring in nuclear power to reduce it. They could have brought it in 20 years ago. They never did it. Ask her if she knows that the Palestinians hate the Nazis, socialists like during the war. Yeah, well, I think there was actually the Grand Mufti actually supported Hitler, and actually you should look at the background there on the back of the Nazi-Palestinian collaboration. Obviously, both Islam, communism, and National Socialism are all anti-Semitic. As I said, National Socialism coming out of the Jewish question written by Marx and the Final Solution written by Hitler. So they're both anti-Semitic. All three ideologies are anti-Semitic in its core. Whether or not all adherents to that are going to be anti-Semitic is debatable. But it's certainly anti-Semitic. Those are understand the theory behind it and push forward the theory. They're all anti-Semitic. But the globalists want to bring in, because it's a way of washing money. It's a way of washing money, because they can just say, oh, this is... Keir Starmer went, oh, we want 11 billion to send to these countries for green environmental things, and nobody's checked where that 11 billion's going, and then they complain that there's a deficit of money in the UK. Well, there's 11 billion of the 20 billion that you try to charge the British people. So there's half of it right there. I'm sure that with the correct procedures, we could actually reduce it even further. I've done it, pal. I've done it. Table speech. Do I have a wee chat? Do I have a wee chat? Do I have a chat? We're going live. We're going live just now. If you want to stay your case, you're always welcome. So, it's all right. That's fine.
What are you then?
We're the Guerilla TV channel. We're an online political channel that covers all politics. We're very, very good. And we cover all politics, Scottish and British politics. I'm a Libertarian Liberal.
I can't stand that one. What's your bias?
But my bias to what in the Israeli...
Any bias, any at all?
Well, I believe in freedom, which unlike Keir Starmer, it means that I don't get censored by the state unless I'm inciting violence. So I believe in freedom of speech. That's one of my biases, if you want to know. I believe in individual rights and the protection of the individual, not the state. Well, it's not really woolly. I don't find that woolly at all. I find that intrinsical to the...
I didn't hate Tory. Yeah.
basic human rights as in freedom of speech.
Well, Keir Starmer's trying to stop that.
Well, we're not talking about Keir Starmer.
Yeah. He's a bad guy.
There's Sarah Wilkinson. Have you heard of Sarah Wilkinson?
No, I've not heard of her.
Sarah Wilkinson has been an indefatigable supporter of Gaza for years.
Right, okay.
She was on my flotillas, etc. for aid, blah blah blah, and she was a warrior. Right. Came in there, who's 6 of them, arrested her under the Terrorism Act for a push she put 12 months ago in Gaza. Right.
Oh, did they arrest her, did they?
They arrested her and they took her to prison. Right. And then when they
Where was this
from?
from?
They took all her electronic devices away.
Where was this?
They're in England.
Okay. So an English woman got arrested for supporting
Sarah Wilkinson. But
Sarah Wilkinson.
They've used the Terrorism Act. And that's basically, I don't know who they've been got at, but this is a post that she's made way back in October.
Wow.
I mean, she basically, I'm a follower on Twitter, right? Basically she posts, stuff that's happening in Gaza, etc. And so anyway, somebody has moaned, right? And they came and arrested her for that. Absolutely.
Well, you said to me I was really, so I would support her right to actually be able to comment on that.
Guy, he's a journalist, and he got arrested at the airport and was held for 24 hours. They're clamping down on anybody who's comes out in support of Gaza.
Interesting.
Yes. Now you've got the Labour Friends of Israel, and you've also got the Scottish bloody Friends of Israel.
Right.
Now I went to conference when I'm an SNP member, and I went to conference 1 year, and I can't remember, and I could not believe I heard sitting fucking a stall, like Scottish Friends of Israel, and I thought, no.
I think it's very complex. My channel is not really got involved in it because I've got Jewish and Muslim friends as well because I've stayed in the Middle East as well.
We're talking about a Zionist state who have no right, who have been protected by America through the veto.
Well, let me ask you.
And now, wait a minute. They've been let off because of the fact that they've got the veto and Security Council by America, always use the veto. Right? So the result is they've been able to do what they've done with impunity, right? Yeah. And the result is that you've got a situation in Palestine where, well,
I've seen the damage to the buildings.
Look what they're doing in the West Bank. The West Bank is basically the big settlement in the West Bank are basically like the suburbs of Tel Aviv.
Are they?
Oh, huge settlements.
Yeah, see, I've not seen it. I've not seen it.
So, you need to wise yourself up about this because this is the moment. Because you and me, if we didn't stand up against it, are just as
culpable.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't open your gob and keep silent, it's like.
But let me put this because you're obviously in politics. You'll understand what I'm about to say to you. The Scottish elections are in 18 months. The Scottish Parliament has not got any foreign policy. Now there might be slight issues with the arms here, but there is no direct foreign policy. There's not meant to be any foreign policy from the Scottish elections. And right now, 18 months away from a Scottish election, which I may stand in, I would like to be discussing Scottish issues as much as important that this is, and I do agree with you. I would like to discuss, we've got a bad economy, we've got bad health service, we've got bad education.
No, we haven't. And that, I don't know where you're getting this stuff.
Well, let me tell you in education.
No, we haven't. And then if you compare us to England, we're better than England.
Well, let me tell you about education. Let me tell you about education. The SNP have taken us off the international PISA tables. Before they took us off, we were 10 points down in maths, 12 in science, and about another 10 in English. the standard of Scottish education has fallen under the SNP, under Nicola Sturgeon in particular. Maybe not less so Alex Salmond, but Nicola Sturgeon and definitely Humza as well. And that was the international, independent international standards. And then the SNP took us off the tables because they saw that we were falling internationally.
I think you need to go and talk to somebody about that, because I think you'll find that person quite inclined.
I know for a fact that that's correct. People know. Listen, let me tell you.
I personally didn't agree with international tables. Me personally,
Right, okay.
I don't.
Okay.
The country that I admire for education system is Finland, second to none. And they didn't do half the stuff that you hear, or these ticking boxes and scores an exam and waiting out of them. You know, it's a nonsense. Children in Finland don't sit an exam until they're up there. No, they're priming up through, and it's all at the end of that that they sit an exam. But everything else is all testing through, you know. Go and read about Finland.
Well,
that's what I would like to see.
I would point you to just now the interview that Andrew Neil did with Nicola Sturgeon. And when he was referring to the tables, and I would go and have a look at that on YouTube, that you'll be able to see what Andrew Neil, because Andrew Neil took Nicola Sturgeon apart on her track record. Let me ask you a question. What's your thoughts on the paper yesterday? It was on a number of them.
Which paper?
Well, it was on the Daily Record, to be specific.
Oh.
That's irrelevant. I'm not blaming what media you like and don't. I'm not saying that. It's more the story. Apparently, Nicola Sturgeon's been named in the orchestration of false sexual allegations against Alex Salmond. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on that whatsoever. That's muckery.
Do you think she should go to jail if she's done it though?
That's muckery.
Do you think she should go to jail? If she's found to have orchestrated false sexual allegations against Alex Salmond, should she go to jail? I would say yes. I would say definitely. I would say if you're making false
that comes out of the Daily Record.
Yeah, I understand. I don't disagree with you on that, but I don't blame. I try and not just blanket, not thing. I try and, if they've got a story in it, I try and assess the story. I don't just say, oh, this is beyond the pale. I try and look at what they're actually saying.
It's not sometimes what they're saying, it's where the way they say it.
Yeah.
The Daily Record is filth as far as I'm concerned. It's an absolute muckbag. I mean, it really is. Well,
I don't disagree.
It's got press, quite frankly. But so you want to be standing up. So what is it? Let me say that. So how are you on the independence?
I'm not pro or anti-independence. I'm not. I don't think it's going to happen soon. So what I would suggest is that what's required is a Devo Max referendum, and well, you're not going to get an independence thing through. So the only thing that you're going to get through in the short term is a Devo Max, and I would support that as well.
And what's Devo Max as far as you're concerned?
Well, whatever it is that we decided to put in, I'm going to set up a new political party, and it's going to have the ability to set up whatever we choose, powers to get.
Why don't you go and join another group that are going?
I've already.
Just going to clutter up the scene.
See, you probably don't know. I've already done interviews with 6 of the 22 leaders of all the political parties. So I'm already. Some won't come on, but they're free to come on. Anybody's free to come on. My channel's a Libertarian channel, and I've already spoken to them, so I already know what the policies are. So they don't have it.
I'm talking about what you could do. I mean, to start, quite frankly, just clutter up the system. I mean.
There's going to be big changes. I think UK reform are going to depend on what the second vote is.
Reform are absolutely.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying I'm not saying whether good or bad.
Reform appeals to the lowest common denominator, and they operate on fear. Always they operate on fear. This is an English tactic, by the way. Now, this is something that the Tories in Scotland never ever did before. Was use the race card or not in my backyard or shit, right? In England, they always did it, always, but not in Scotland. That was free of that. But the thing is, this is when you get reformed.
Well, see, I'm a bit more because I'm a liberal, I'm a bit balanced. So there was 3 children murdered by somebody who'd immigrated here, and that's what caused the wars.
He did not immigrate here. His parents immigrated here. He was brought up in Cardiff.
Right, okay. So somebody that came
It's got
here.
nothing to do with
But
it.
you don't know if it's a racist attack, because I don't know
The
either.
guy in Dunblane went and shot all these Waynes and he was bloody Stirling.
Well,
Don't talk.
okay, so well, let me ask you another question. In the Labour, there's a woman in Labour who got kicked out of the Labour Party in Glasgow City Council because she said that there was people being attacked, teachers and pupils being attacked by people that were here, and she got kicked out of the Labour Party. So and that was also in the papers as well.
But see, the point is, these people need to go to the polls.
Well, not if you've got a social justice system in the police. Not if you've got a social justice thing. I'll be discussing all this. We'll be talking about. I've already been talking about it on the
But
thing.
don't bring up the thing that laddie went and stabbed Wayne, because the point is, the guy who done Blaine lived in Stirling and he went away a gun and he did a lot more fucking damage than that lad.
That's fair enough, but it's not.
No, but look how it was used.
Okay.
Now, they didn't immediately use it as a thing. Who did they use it here?
But there's been multiple. There's been multiple.
What I'm trying to say is, unhinged people, it doesn't matter what their skin colour is or where they come from, they've got the elements in every society, always. It really sticks in my craw, this, blaming this or blaming that. That laddie was brought up in Cardiff.
But could it, I didn't answer my question, or could it be a racist attack?
There wasn't a racist
No, I
attack.
said, how do you know what the motive was? I don't know the motive.
No, well, they shot him. No, they've got him. So you might, I don't know, they might find out.
So it might be a racist attack?
No, I don't think it was a
No,
racist
no, I'm not
attack.
asking, we don't know. You and I don't know if it was.
I don't
So it could be a racist attack?
I don't think it was a racist attack.
Well, we don't know though. I don't know, I'm not saying you're saying it is or it's not, because I don't know. But it could be.
Why go and pick on that, eh? I mean, me,
No.
I have to tell you, quite frankly, I think anybody who sends their Wayne to a Taylor Swift dance thing is putting their head examined. Imagine sending your Wayne to shit like that. I mean,
I think the pressing thing was them dying at it. I think that was I think the pressing thing was them dying at the thing.
I'm talking about the fact that you send
I understand.
shit
I
like
understand.
that.
I get that. I understand. I do understand, but it's not the first time, and there has been a number of terrorist attacks as well. That is becoming an issue, and I think because there was misinformation which we didn't put out, these people.
You've got situations, right? You've got situations in a country whereby you have people living in a country. Let's take Yorkshire. They come into Yorkshire originally. First loan comes in. And then the next generation, they start competing for the resources. They don't provide housing. There's no proper provision for education. In fact, so you've got more folk chasing resources. And if you've got more folk chasing resources, they're going to pick on the ones who are not there. They always see the other.
So we're going to import people that might see us as the other, and they're going to establish the death.
Look at the way in which the fact that Westminster government has deliberately not invested in people.
Well, that's true. I don't disagree with you. I think we've found a bit of commonality there, and I do agree with you.
Thatcher flogged off the council houses.
Well, I actually agree in selling the council houses because what it does is empowers the individual. What I would do, listen, I'll tell you what I would do.
It doesn't empower anybody. It does not empower anybody. In fact, these houses were built by people, money.
Aye.
And
But listen.
Flogged off at below market value.
Yeah, so what...
And not building other stock.
Well, I think that's the problem. So that could have been, the money that was paid to actually purchase houses could have been reinvested in new stock. I do agree with you there. That's what should have happened.
But the point is, what is the point on building new stock if they're going to get sold off?
But
what the Scottish government did was to say no. That's it. Stop.
I don't agree with that.
Absolutely agree with it.
Right.
Stop.
Well, they failed to grow the economy. The SNP have failed to grow the economy. They've not supported Scottish entrepreneurs. They've locked in the people in the houses for 2 years.
What are you talking about?
I don't know, it's a tiny growth.
We are doing better than areas. The only area that we don't do better than is the southeast of
You give me sources to this.
The southeast of England, i.e. money lies. But when it comes to other areas of England, Scotland outperforms them.
Yeah, they do up to a point, but not recently. The growth rate's been tiny. I don't think you've been looking at recently. I understand you.
Every day you talk about, when you talk about Britain, I'll tell you what, you heard the common wheel.
Yeah, no comment.
Go to common wheel, talk about it.
I know, but
And I've been standing in the sun between my brolly.
on you go. I'll let you go, thanks. Common, I don't know if you got all that, I don't know if you heard all that, but Commonweal are a sort of quite left-wing, want the state to run everything type of organisation. So I'm not against some social policies are advantageous, but it's not absolutely terrific. I think we require to move more to the centre. I think Scotland has been far too left-wing for too long. So I'll finally finish the Greens. So why are the corporatist globalists wanting to empower the left-wing Green Party to increase taxes and make sure that we don't boil to death with CO2 and actually producing gas? Because obviously it's a money grab from the taxpayer, and that's what they do. They do money grabs, and that's the easiest way to steal working class money. Oh, it's for the environment, for a good cause. You can pick a good cause, just name it, and then that's the reason for me to steal your money. So, so that's the situation there. So, but they seem like an extreme. The Greens, especially in Scotland, but internationally, are a neo-Marxist, maybe even cultural Marxist organisation, and it's just the same money rinse. Oh, we've got a good cause. This is why we should be stealing your money to pay for this good cause. You could have one that's got no financial boundaries, like, oh, we need to improve the climate. How are we going to improve the climate in Scotland or even in the UK as a whole when we produce less than 1% of the actual CO2 emissions? Yes, you did see a mountain man there. Yes, you did see a mountain man. I know, quite incredible. So, I know I felt like a dwarf, man. I'm about 5'10". It was like the land of the giants. So that's the situation. So at what stage will the climate emergency be fixed? What's the fixing point? What happens if we plant a lot of trees and we plant a lot of reduced CO2, and then we start to get colder and colder, and because we don't have any electricity. We don't have any electricity. Tam Laird, there's only one Tam Laird, the leader of the Scottish Libertarian Party. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, my baby gorillas.
There's Tam there. Tam, tell us?
You're looking very dapper.
Thanks very much, mate. You're looking well yourself. You've been training. You've been out you just come down and have a wee look at this?
No, actually, not back for. I'm just not long back for Serbia.
Tell us what's happening, Tam. Just fill us in. Just give us a goss.
On what?
On anything, on this in here, on what's happening with the Scottish Libertarian Party, how you're doing yourself, anything you want to divulge.
Well, we're in the process of...
I would look to the camera, but...
Well, I'm just looking at you.
I know.
We're in the process of leading up to our AGM in Perth, so we'll be able to know after that a lot more about what's happening and going forward. But as you know, as a wee discussion we had the last time, you know I'm not a big believer in the political process. We are not voting ourselves out of this at any point. The only way out of it is mass non-compliance. And unfortunately, until even you guys out there, until the British people are more interested in freedom than you're interested in free stuff, nothing's going to change. As long as you can be easily bribed by free stuff, the government's going to fuck you up the arse. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, that get you a strike on YouTube?
I know, I swear all the time, don't worry about it, mate. I quite enjoy it. I prefer your commentary. You were great in GB News. Your commentary in GB News was terrific, Tam. And there's been some interesting stuff. Obviously, you and I disagree a wee bit on the thing, but I don't disagree with you that much that I would not be on your side than somebody else's side. Do you know what I mean? And what I was going to say, obviously we had a quick discussion at the comedy thing, which was great. We had Count Dankler there, it was absolutely terrific, and we had a quick discussion on standing the candidates at the Scottish election, although you don't obviously agree.
Well, we did stand candidates.
No, I mean,
we did stand candidates, and we probably will stand candidates again. How many we stand is going to be a matter of some strategy, because at the end of the day, so far at least, the amount of money we've spent putting up candidates, because at most instances, by all instances so far, it's £500 up the Swanee. Unless it's a council candidate. Don't mind putting up council candidate because it costs us nothing. But you're spending party members' money and putting up candidates just to show a flag and show face. And people aren't quite ready yet to vote for us because they still don't understand what we're trying to tell them. You know, they still believe in the political process. They still believe in the uniparty in most instances. So we might just choose maybe 2 constituencies and concentrate all our efforts and all our firepower on that. Or maybe even just put regional candidates in each region. Yeah,
because I don't think you alone are going to be requiring on the second vote. I think Alba, Reform UK are going to be everybody's going to be requiring the second vote. And
there's no unity amongst all these other parties, and we've been asked to, and we don't mind signing. We did non-compete agreements with other parties, sovereignty, for example. Family parties wearing that agreement a wee bit thin, I think, because we don't. There's not a lot we agree with.
There's definitely a difference there.
For a start, we believe taxation's theft. That's it. The Scottish Family Party are paternalist. They actually believe there's a role for government in people's lives, and that's where we differ from them. So that's a problem we share in the platform. Still, I don't mind. I get on well with Dick Lucas. He's a reasonable enough guy to chat to. And there's a few guys. There's a few guys in that party who there's obviously some crossover. I think
I said that the Heritage Party and the Heritage Party and the Family Party should join together, and the Family and Heritage Party, I think they would actually be complementary. And Heritage is not very big up here, Family Party is not very big down there, so I think that would be quite an interesting combination.
But then they would need to work out between themselves who was going to play second fiddle. So there's too many egos involved in this game, as you know.
I think David would be better down and continue doing what he's doing in England, and Richard would be better doing what he's doing in Scotland.
So similar to basically what LP UK and Scottish Libertarians do. They just take care of
their own thing.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
I don't know if they'll take it on board, but I definitely would say, because you can get too diverse unless you're standing for something politically different. It can be too diverse and just egos, as you said, ego-driven rather than policy-driven.
I mean, we've been happy to step down out of the way. At the same time, we have I have some sort of commitment and some sort of responsibility to my party members. They didn't join Heritage. They didn't join the Scottish Family Party. They joined the Scottish Libertarian Party. So they expect some sort of representation going forward. But I think with most of them, you say, well, look, this party's standing, that party's standing. Better they spend £500 of their money, and at the end of the day, we might get some sort of result that's better. But the Scottish Family Party spent a lot of money. I'm using them as an example because they're one of the biggest of the small parties up here. And they seem to be well funded, seem to be well oiled. They spent quite a lot of money and put up a lot of candidates at the last election. Sure, they got a lot more votes than we did, but they never really, it never resulted in any candidates or any more candidates, so that's a lot of money for them.
I mean, for you, I would suggest that the regional list for the MPs, maybe if somebody wanted to stand in a specific constituency, but the first and second guys must know what they're politically all about in each of the regions, and that's really where the second vote, Scottish Libertarian second vote, because I think you're only going to need to get something like, well, 5% seems quite a push. People don't understand, but even 5% is a bit of a push. But
of course it is.
But we might start getting people elected, which would be revolutionary in Scottish politics?
It would. But if you have to compromise, if you have to lose your soul to the extent where you're no longer the party that you set out to be in order to get elected, it kind of defeats the purpose. Unless you just kid on, you know. We could all just join the Conservative Party and pretend that we're Conservatives, you know, and then suddenly at the last minute go, ha ha, we're actually Libertarians. So what's your take on what's happening down here, David?
Well, I've been asking Tam, are you versed in Scottish history?
A little bit.
Right,
yeah.
so I've been asking the people why they're named after the invading Scotai from Dalriada,
right,
and not named after the Britons who were the original inhabitants here.
Yeah.
And the Picts were probably a Brythonic tribe,
yeah,
and the original language here was Brythonic. So we're speaking German just now, English,
sure,
German, and they want to bring in Gaelic, which is Irish. But the original language here was Brythonic.
Gaelic, that sounds to me a bit uninclusive, Davey. Gaelic. I mean, that's going to be hard for somebody. I mean, how is somebody from Nigeria or Somalia who comes to live here, how are they meant to know about Gaelic and how to speak Gaelic? It sounds very white and uninclusive to me.
Oh, I missed that. I like to do that. Let me ask you a question. Just now, you finally got somebody to actually look to. Now, Tam, I know Tam for a number of years, and Tam is an anarcho-capitalist, and I'm a libertarian liberal. So I'm for the left-wing libertarian. Tam is, but Tam has moved to more of a minarchist, which is in between his anarcho-capitalist and my libertarian liberal point of view. The minarchist is somewhere in between. But you've actually
anarchist or statist. There is no minarchist.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. From an ideological.
Yeah, sure.
So, but you've now got a guy for the first time ever who is probably an anarcho-capitalist in Argentina.
Yeah.
And surely he should be the sort of figurehead for especially your part of the libertarian.
He doesn't really. It's an odd thing though. He doesn't really surround himself with many libertarians, and he hasn't contacted many libertarians. He hasn't brought many in. As far as I know, there's not that many in his government. He's in a situation where obviously he can make a few executive decisions, which is all good, but he's obviously got a parliament which is predominantly not on his side. So we'll see how that pans out. He's doing some good stuff. What you have there is a guy who was wealthy, already a celebrity, before he started.
Well, like myself.
Exactly, a bit like yourself, David. Not quite as handsome, obviously.
True.
And thirdly, Argentina had reached a point where it was absolutely
getting bankrupt by the socialists.
It was rock bottom, to the extent where people went, look, whatever we vote for, it's got to be better than this. And we don't have that here in the UK.
We're a bit bland.
We don't have somebody with that who's such a good personality, public speaker, with the wealth behind him as well, with the celebrity behind him as well. I mean, he was never off the telly because he was controversial.
Yeah.
He got on Argentinian TV a lot.
Yeah.
And also that rock bottom thing in Argentina having like the people saying like anything's got to be better than this, and Scotland isn't anywhere near that. You talk to young people, you talk to a lot of people, they're still convinced that socialism's the answer. You know?
Yeah.
Or certainly more socialism or social democracy.
It seems now that socialism and Islam's the answer now. That it seems to be the combination of both.
Sure, but I maintain as much, and there are problems with Islam, but Islam's not the problem, it's the symptom. The problem's our own government. The problem's our own people in government who make laws, make rules, open borders, do what they want to make it easier for Islam to establish a foothold here.
Do you think what's the sort of Scottish Libertarian Party's position on the globalists and the Davos mob?
Well, libertarians get accused of being globalist in the sense that we're international. But
you're not anti-statist, so you wouldn't believe in a global state.
Well, exactly. That, you know, the small individual state is bad enough to handle. That's why we were anti-EU, anti-UN, because these are globalist organisations, and by globalist it means these people actually believe that the world would be better off under a one world unified government. highly authoritarian, a lot of power.
borders.
Yeah, and not just the open borders. People
borders.
Massive population movements encouraged and funded by these people in order to break down any sense of national identity that people have. That's absolutely true.
And why are you down here to see this? What do you think
No,
of
I'm
the
just
Scottish notional mob?
The
Irish notional mob.
Yeah, they're all nationalists. These people are not nationalists. I mean, it wouldn't be as bad if they actually were
nationalists, yeah.
but they're not. And as far as I'm concerned with the Israeli-Palestine thing, it's none of my business. It's none of your business. We've got more to worry about. Arms made in Scotland and used in Palestine. Well, do you know what, guys? Maybe if you weren't taxing people, my money and your tax money wouldn't be going to arms companies to create bombs to drop on people, regardless of where they were. You know, so let's get rid of the taxation, and we won't be funding arms companies anymore.
Labour has voted for 80% of the policies put through by the SNP.
Yeah.
George Galloway was talking about another scenario, but are the SNP and Labour two cheeks of the same asshole? And what would Aina say to that?
I think the Ennis would probably say, yeah, they definitely are. I mean, I grew up, you probably grew up as well in Scotland when the Labour Party were in Scotland the first time.
Yeah, an institution.
And they were so bad. Yeah, they were an institution. Your average Labour politician was a shop steward, and that was quite beyond his capabilities, to be quite honest with you. They were so bad and so incompetent and so corrupt that the SNP got in. But the SNP, fair play to them, I never thought you could actually beat the incompetence and the corruption of the Labour Party. But congratulations, guys, you did it. You proved that there was some worse than Scottish Labour, and it was you idiots.
And just now in the papers, Tam, there's been allegations now that Nicola Sturgeon orchestrated the sexual now that Alex Salmon has been found not guilty of any sexual improprieties, so sexual framing of Alex Salmon. What should happen if she's found guilty of sexually framing somebody for?
Well, I think she should receive an equal sentence to what he would have received if he was found guilty.
For all 14 counts?
Yes. Absolutely. Why not? If I make a story, I go, David Ballantyne came round to my flat last night and beat me up, and that was completely untrue. Whatever you would have got for that sentence, I should get it for making up the story, right? So, and that's across the board. Whatever crime you accuse a person of a crime maliciously for your own purposes, you should receive the maximum sentence.
And the
for
individual
that
should be financially compensated for loss.
Well, compensated by who though? Compensated by the person who made the allegation to the best of their ability, and to whatever welfare and wherewithal they have, that should be given. But the problem when you start talking about compensation, you end up talking about the taxpayer compensating, and that means people that weren't involved, people who did
Alex
no
Salmon's
wrong.
going to get that if he gets the 3 million, isn't he? Because that was the state that did it.
Absolutely, and again, whatever it is, whether it's a COVID thing, whenever you sue the state or you sue a state organisation, it means you, the taxpayer, end up paying out for it. And instead of just jailing these people and making them pay, you know, if they've got houses, they own property, get it off them and use that money to compensate. No, not a penny of taxpayers' money should be used for compensation.
The SNP have now got the missing £600,000 from their coffers.
Did they find that?
No.
Was it in the back of the couch?
No, it's still missing, and the charges are still ongoing. They've now got the COVID policy for putting people with COVID in care homes, and also the non-resuscitation orders that they brought forward. And now they've got the potential orchestration of false sexual allegations against Alex Salmon. The control of the courts and the police by the SNP. Do you think this is just going to get kicked into the long grass?
I think they'll certainly try to do that. Well, they have been trying to do it. I mean, look how long it's took them just to investigate this stuff. The dogs were barking it. People knew about it. Wings Over Scotland was talking about this stuff.
We commented that very well, man.
So it's been well known. And they can't believe that the police and the Crown, the Scottish equivalent of Crown Prosecution Service, the Procurator Fiscals, have took this long to gather evidence and even make some arrests. So yeah, they'll try and cover it up. Yes, they'll try and kick it into the long grass, because they've got the police, as you know, have got far more important things to do, like going about arresting guys like you that are trying to make a living.
For tweets. What's your thoughts now about Keir Starmer taking over? He seems very pro-free speech, cancelling the university free speech thing and putting him in jail for edgy tweets.
Well, on one hand he's doing that, and the other hand he's arrested. But this is what they do now. They slap the term terrorist on you if you're saying things that they don't like. And I've tried to tell people before, when these laws come in, you think they're coming in to protect the innocent and the weak. They're actually coming in to protect the powerful and the guilty from being prosecuted. You know, and if you mention anything out of school, you're going to jail. And as you know, the sentences have been absolutely disproportionate. And this is
ridiculous.
This is Scotland, man. This is where the Enlightenment started, and yet we are way ahead of a lot of European countries.
I know,
it's
authoritarianism.
It's highly authoritarian, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And maybe it needs to. Because people need that boot up the arse to realise that the government is not your friend. Not now, not ever. Even if it's a libertarian government, they still need watching.
Vote Libertarian, Liberal. What I was going to say, but we were pre-warned. Peter Hitchens did an interview with the guys in trigonometry, where Peter Hitchens, Christopher Hitchens, who was the atheist, he was a Marxist as well, and Peter was a Marxist.
Trotsky,
specifically, and so was Peter. So both Peter and Christopher, but Peter left it, and Peter said that Keir Starmer was an even more radical communist, but he's also in bed with the globalists as well, who are a feudalist. The globalists are feudalists,
neo-feudalists,
or corporatists, and their makeup. But that's a real contradiction. They were also talking about the Greens,
but it's a
being
kind
a
of synthesis of.
We're all going to be Marxists, and they're going to be the feudalists.
Well, precisely.
Hunger Games.
Socialism for the poor and capitalism for the rich, basically. So that's what it looks like. Keir Starmer. The problem is, the Tories had to go. Do you know what I mean? They had to go. And what is happening now under Keir Starmer is merely happening at an accelerated level that it would have still happened under the Tories. Anybody that thinks that the Tories wouldn't have done the things that it would still have happened. It might have took longer. It would have been a lot more subtle, but it would have come in. At least this is blatant. You can see it. It's undisguised aggression against individuality and against freedom. So hopefully people wake up to that.
Well, the rise of the Reformer might be sitting in 12% in Scotland just now.
Well,
I've
got my doubts about reform, but they would certainly be better in the short term than Labour.
Or SNP or any
of the other ones.
The fake Liberals.
The non-Liberal Democrats.
The illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats.
Anyway, I must go because I've got stuff to do.
Well done.
I'm a very busy man, as you know.
Well done, mate. Well done. Always welcome the Guerilla TV channel.
And give them help.
And go and see if you can get a couple of guys in each of the regional lists and Libertarians for the second vote.
We'll do what we can, mate.
That's good, buddy. Thanks, Tam. Good. So that was quite interesting, wasn't it? It was always good to talk to Tam. We did some really great presentations on GB News as well. Some great speaking. I'm going to have to get a new thing here because this thing is absolute nightmare. Anyway, I've actually literally been talking now for an hour and, oh no it's not, if that's in minutes, 60, 2 hours and 2.5 hours. I hope you've enjoyed it, some interesting chat. And I think everybody's packing up just now. But hope you enjoyed it. Love my baby gorillas. Good to talk to Tam as well.